The delegation of Afrikaners recently concluded a visit to the United States. The group said it had a series of engagements with White House officials and other key stakeholders focusing on bilateral relations. The delegation was led by FF Plus leader Dr. Corné Mulder, Dr. Theo de Jager of the Southern African Agri Initiative, and Gerard Pappenfuss from the National Employers Association of South Africa that represents small and medium-sized employers and aids them with lobbying and labour relations. Mr. Pappenfuss joining us in studio now. Thank you for being with us. So I was going to say you flew back yesterday, but you actually landed early this morning.
Yeah.
Was there drama there at all?
Drama at Heathrow, but
okay.
We were just delayed for 14 hours.
How was the trip?
Very successful, beyond expectation. You know, you go on a trip like this and you know you've got a couple of engagements, and then it turns out to be very profitable engagements.
Dr. Mulder says you met with people from the Senate, from Congress,
yeah,
senior officials from the Trump administration.
Yeah.
Can you tell us who they were?
You know, I'm not going to go names, but the director of the National Security Council was in that meeting. The director of the Homeland Security was in that meeting.
Okay, so we can find the names.
The head of the National Security Council. Well, you can find the name. Let me mention him. His name was Mr. McNamara.
Okay.
The guy from Homeland Security. I can't just recall his name, but he's there. He's yeah.
Anyone from the White House?
Yes.
Based at the White House?
Yeah. Well, remember, those guys are all White House officials. The National Security Council sit in the White House.
Okay.
And a senior person from C.D. Vance's office. And then another person.
Deputy President?
Yeah, Deputy President.
How senior? Just give us an idea.
Well, I can't say. He's apparently very close to President Vance, Vice President Vance. But I mean, the message that came out of it carries a huge amount of credibility, and we can talk about that.
Okay. I'm just trying to, because we've seen several delegations, and no one wants to say exactly who they met, and then everyone's trying to figure out. Okay.
No.
Who are you actually meeting with?
Mr. McNamara was there,
but
you know, I didn't plan to mention names, and
sure.
You know, you just faster me, but you know, you can't. Whatever they had to say, and well, I'm prepared to talk about it if you want us to talk about that.
Just quickly, there are people we understand that will lobby American officials on behalf of any group. Did you engage with a lobbyist? Who set up these meetings?
Somebody knowing the landscape set up the meetings. Remember, we were invited. We didn't approach a lobbyist to lobby on our behalf. We were invited. We also didn't decide on the group. We were individually invited.
Yeah. So who sent that invite?
I'm not going to mention that name. Now that is not important. The fact is, we were there. We were invited to engage for the purposes of engagement on behalf of a particular group in South Africa. And if I can give background, when the meeting took place in the White House, which was a huge embarrassment.
This would be our president leading a group,
I think what's transpiring in South Africa, the story wasn't told. I think it was a mess. And it was following that when somebody approached us, an organization approached us and said, please come and tell the story. And we didn't arrange the meetings, they did arrange it. And we didn't decide on the group. Mr. de Jager, Corné Mulder, and myself was invited. We didn't go there as a group. As it wasn't a Freedom Front group.
So you weren't leading together. You were all invited separately.
We were invited as separate groups. Mr. de Jager on behalf of agriculture. I was invited.
Can you just say, was the invite from someone from the Congress, from the Senate, Trump administration?
No. It was a business in the United States.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, because they are essentially saying the South African government and several people who joined that president-led mission maybe aren't telling the story, and you are the people who can tell the real story.
No.
So I'm just trying to figure out
the
who's
South
making
African
that
government was not involved. Nobody from Congress was involved, although we met with people from Congress as well as the Senate. And think tanks, and then of course I think the highlight with the Department of State Department, and I think the meeting with the officials from the White House was a high point in that engagement, and especially in light of what turned out to happen at that particular meeting.
Okay, so tell me.
Okay,
and you said exceeded expectations.
Yeah. Well, we went there to tell the story from specific perspectives. What's happening in politics? What's happening with the government of national unity? What's happening with agriculture? And from my point of view, what's happening with business? And I brought into the picture what economic policies are seriously hamstringing our economy. And I explained that. So that was the purpose. We didn't go there. You know, South Africa's economy is in decline. There's unemployment, all these things. So, you know, for us to survive in this country, it cannot be a white delegation serving white interests. We need a government that serves for all the people. So at the end of that meeting, Mr. McNamara said, okay, we've listened to you, now we want you to listen to us. And he said, here's 4 points. And I want you to convey this message to the South African government. And the message is this: if they want to normalize relations with the United States, 4 things need to happen. They need to declare farm murders a priority crime. Secondly, they need to, the slogan, chant, kill the boer, kill the farmer, needs to be condemned in no uncertain terms by the ANC. And we said, are you talking about the government of national unity? They said no, the ANC must do that. Thirdly, expropriation cannot happen without proper and fair market-related compensation. And fourthly, they said American companies must be exempted from black economic empowerment. That's it. We checked on that. So we went back, we drafted the press release, and we sent it back. We called Mr. McNamara and we said to him, we've drafted a press release. We send it back to you. Check, is that a correct reflection? I came back, corrected the spelling error and said, change this sentence. But this press release comes with a mandate from the White House.
It begs the question, though.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, our government is trying to, at least, and we know there was a meeting in the White House.
Yeah.
So government officials are talking to each other.
They're not.
Why are they not transmitting this?
Okay, because government, they say your
government?
government is not listening. They think we are playing games. They think we are playing games. Government wants to restore trade relations. Government came from the White House. They said, Mr. Ramaphosa appeared as if he didn't know that farm murders take place. He said, the crosses that was shown on television, he says, he doesn't know, where does that happen? He said he do not approve of farm murders. When he came back, he said, I'm not going to reprimand Julius Malema on that. They doubled down on black economic empowerment, which is destroying this economy. If these policies are going to continue, there will be nothing left of the South African economy, because no one will invest in the South Africa, and at least even us will divest from South Africa.
I just want to question the crosses.
Yeah.
And I didn't think we'd talk about this either, but I think Trump at that point said they were graves. And they weren't graves.
No, they weren't graves.
So it was fair enough for the president to not know about this graveyard, because it wasn't a graveyard.
Well, it wasn't a graveyard, but I mean, he could have corrected President Trump. The president has never expressed his concern about farm murders. Now, we must remember, there are murders taking place. There's no doubt about it. We are that's the only murders where a call is made for the murdering of farmers. A call is made. The Constitutional Court says that's fine. Yeah. People celebrate the murder on farmers.
And it did go through the court. It did go through the court.
Well, that shows you the Constitutional Court is a race court. How can you call, that's the only people where a call is made for the murdering of that people, and people celebrate that, and the court said this is okay. If I go out of this room today and I call for the murder of somebody, I will be arrested tonight.
Well, there was a context and a history. It's a controversial issue. But you're saying that the US wants the ANC
no, the US said, yes,
to denounce that.
Yes, the US said yes. The president, the government doesn't take us serious. We've told them that. They continue as if nothing is happening. Now, we can argue about it. We can say, you know, they said it to you, why not to them? Well, they say there serves no purpose to tell it to them, because they walk out of this meeting and they continue with their policies as if nothing has changed. So we tell you guys, tell them, if they want to normalize the relationship with us, they better do what we ask. That is the message. Now, Mr. McNamara would not have said that he's responsible for whatever he's saying to the White House. He is in the White House.
For some people, this is a democracy issue. You admitted that you go and you give a certain perspective.
Yes.
That is perhaps a minority perspective in South Africa.
Yes.
If the majority of South Africans believe that BEE is necessary, given the apartheid past and useful, should we then listen to the United States that says, we'd like an exemption, or what, Mr.
Well, I unfortunately cannot listen to that, because BEE, first of all, there's employment equity that simply excludes whites out of the market. And I don't have time to explain that. White males, for instance, and I'm not sitting here as a victim. I am not a victim. I do not look like a victim, and I'll never be a victim. Yeah.
This ANC and white males are still doing pretty well in South Africa.
Well, because we must work extremely hard for what we have. We don't live on grants and handouts, and that makes us strong. Now, we say this. If you're going to continue as this, if you push us out and you push me into business, when I'm in business and I'm successful, you say 51% of my business need to belong to a person of another race. That is nonsense. Now, people can say the ANC say so, but this ANC is not a good government. I mean, they've run a brilliant economy into the ground, and they are falling, they are sliding down. And they say, but that's the government. Sorry, it's a poor government with extremely poor policies. Extremely poor policies.
Dr. Corneille Mulder said you were flying the South African flag high.
Yes.
Do you believe when you go, not as a government delegation, but somebody else giving information on their country, from a critical standpoint, that is good for the country?
It's good for South Africa, it's not good for the ANC. But because the ANC is not good for South Africa, the ANC is the worst news of what South Africa can get. The ANC is, with respect, there's an element, they're almost a crime syndicate. And so they're not good news. So when we represent South Africa, you're not representing the ANC.
Yeah, it won't change the fact that the ANC is the largest partner in the government of national unity right now. The trade deal has to happen now, and that's who's in office.
And that's not going to happen. Now, we try to convince them that if you punish, don't punish the people that will be severely hurt. Because if AGOA is dropped, if the motor industry is going to further in decline, we've heard today what's happening with Mercedes-Benz. We told them the people you want to protect might be hurt, and that is the South African population. Don't punish the South African population. And we're talking not for whites, we're talking for the poor millions that's living on grants, that can't get jobs. We're talking for them as well. We plead for them as well. So punish those that benefits illegally from the system. That those entrepreneurs, tenderpreneurs, that's becoming billionaires times billionaires out of a system where they don't work, where deals are made to benefit. Punish them. Don't punish the South African population.
So why did you say it's not going to happen? Are you saying South Africa will be hit with the tariffs that Trump was going to introduce, and then he gave us some response? Because it's a matter of days.
Trump gave a 10%, introduced a 10% tariff, and then on top of that a further 30% tariff.
Which wipes a go out anyway.
Absolutely. In 9 days from now, the time expires for the deal.
Yeah.
Africa, north of us, has come to the table with the United States, and they came to deals. They made deals for the United States. Trump is actually not a tariff guy. He wants to make a deal with the country. We've done nothing. We've done nothing about it. We have sit back and doubled down on these crazy policies, whilst other African countries have gone to the table and made a proper trade deal. This is what Trump asked from us.
And this is what you heard from US officials, that South Africa isn't coming to the table, offering deals.
This what I'm saying now didn't come from them. These words that I've just added, that came from businesses in the United States which want to deal with South Africa. They says, guys, if you're going to be hit with a 30%, 10 plus 30% tariff, it will be actually impossible to do business with you. We want to help. We've reached out to the South African government and said, please, let's do something about it. Their offers are just rejected.
My final question, let's look at the demands that you laid out, that you heard. No land expropriation without fair market compensation. And it should only be done after all legal processes have been fully exhausted. Did you correct perceptions at all? Because there has been no expropriation.
No, but it's
before or after the law was changed.
No, absolutely.
We have a great rule of law. Was that ever mentioned?
There's a piece of legislation. The legislation is called expropriation without compensation. It's there. It's on the law book. Now, when you give that type of power to a rogue party, he will at some point use it. Now what we say is, if you want to expropriate land, do it properly, follow legal process and pay fair compensation. They turn it around, they say, we'll expropriate you and then you can take it to court. Now how does a guy that's been expropriated, whose income is denied him, whose business is destroyed, his farm is destroyed, how does he take a government to court? How do you challenge it? It's there. There are 145 race laws currently in South Africa, excluding whites, that's aimed at whites. They're not in place here, but they lie there. They are latent. And we can laugh.
You can't bring this up at the end of the interview. It's a chat for another day.
It is there, and it's lying there, and you cannot, if you ignore it, you will become the victim of that. So you write a law, and we say that is not a good law.
All right. Thank you for telling us how this went. That was the CEO of the National Employers Association of South Africa, just back from the United States early this morning, Gerard Papenfuss.